Welcome Hannah fans and any other wonderful people joining this video. I figured today we're going to continue with the Artist Girl color along. I'm hoping to have her done before the end of November, before we start the Christmas color along. So today I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to try and tackle as much of the background details as we possibly can. I'm not going to promise that we'll get to finish all of them, but we'll at least do a good amount. One thing, I'm not going to be using my little paper color swatches for this, so I apologize to anybody who usually listens to their own music and has the volume down low while we color together. But you'll have to actually listen for the colors I'm using, and it's just because there's so many tiny little details, there's going to be so many colors used, and it's just going to save a lot of time and hassle and clutter on my desk. So I'm hoping that maybe it won't take as long as I'm thinking it will, and then maybe we can get all of this stuff done, which would be all the cluttered stuff down here, the clouds, and the butterfly. And then I'm thinking maybe the next part will probably be her skin and background, and that would probably pretty much be it actually. So I don't know, we'll just see how much we can get done today and we'll just kind of go with that. So I'm just going to zoom in towards the bottom here. I'm going to try my best to keep it as much in frame as possible. As always, don't mind my squeaky chair. I tell you, this chair is so annoying when my son's trying to go to sleep, because my art room is right next to his room, and I'm usually always in here when he's sleeping. So I always feel like I'm going to wake him up or keep him up with my chair, because I'm always moving around, and every time I shift slightly it squeaks. But I love this chair, it's so comfy. So let's see here. So we were thinking about doing a gray background, and we're thinking about doing that because of these clouds. I want these clouds to be super colorful because they're dripping paint, so they have to be super colorful. And for me, since this book is called I Dream in Color, I just feel like all the pages have to be colorful. The only one I've done in here so far is this one. This Can't Have a Rainbow Without a Little Rain. And of course, it had rainbow in the saying, so I had to do a bunch of rainbow colors and just completely color it up. But my goal is to try and make them super colorful without them being too aggressively colorful. I still want a nice flow to the pages, which is basically what I'm trying to work on these days with my coloring. Hopefully I can finish everything I plan to for my New Year's goal, so that way we can do a color book flip sometime in the new year, and I can show you guys what I mean with my older aggressively colorful pictures that just have too much going on. It's not very pleasant to look at. You'll see what I mean. So we're going by less is more. So I think what we'll start off with here, maybe let's start off with the pencils. So we need pencil colors. Let me just grab a pencil. Okay. So this is what the regular pencils usually look like. I never noticed that. I wonder if that's Canadian or Canada in French. Canadiana. Weird. Okay, so we definitely need some yellowed orange. So grab that. Let's grab some goldenrod. And then maybe some sunburst yellow. Let's give it a little bit more of a yellow tinge to it. Okay, so we're going to start on this first little pencil here, and these are pretty small areas, so I'm not going to worry about blending too much. In the smaller areas, it's a lot easier to blend. So I'm just going to start right off with the goldenrod. And what I'm going to do is sharpen it first off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a firm pressure and just kind of follow these lines. So this pencil is it kind of like disappears in here. I want to create the effect that the pencil goes all the way down though, so I'm just going to color in this little area here. I'm using a fairly firm pressure. I'm not going to go over this, you can see, okay, I'm not going to go over this space with any other color, so I'm using a fairly firm pressure to really get the color in there. And once I get up to this corner of this flower thing here, I'm going to start fading it off upwards towards the tip of the petal. Okay, so now let's move on to this pencil here. We'll do the same thing. Just kind of following in on the lines. And I never actually finished coloring in this part of hair, so I'm just going to use this pencil to color in because it's close enough. That could be a piece of dress too, I'm not really sure. Okay, so there's our darker color, and next we're going to go in with the yellowed orange. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to blend into where we faded off the goldenrod, and I'm not going to bring it up too much farther. I'm going to start fading it off right here, and I'm basically just going to color in the sides of the pencil and then fade it out towards the middle. I'm going to do that on both sides. I'm going to do the same thing with this pencil here. And then we will switch to our sunburst yellow and just kind of color in the rest of that. Okay, so I'm going to keep these pencils out just in case we use them again. Put them over there. Okay, so now for the part of the pencil that is shaved. Let's see if we can find some good colors for that. So I'm just going to kind of use my pencil to kind of color match here a little bit. I'm actually thinking rosy beige is kind of the closest. So I'm going to take some rosy beige and I think some beige sienna maybe. Let's see if I can find them here. Okay, there's rosy beige. Here's beige sienna. And let's see, I want a little bit more of a tan color. Sandbar brown is the other one that I'm going to use. If I can find it here. Okay. Okay, so going to start off with just a light layer of the rosy beige. I'm just going to lightly put it in there. And then I'm going to switch to the beige sienna, and I'm going to go over that with a light coat as well, just to kind of give it that more brownish tan look. Because the rosy beige is a little pink. So next I'm going to take my, oh sorry, let me have a sip of tea here. I swear ever since I quit smoking, my voice is way worse in the mornings. And I have been quit completely for at least 4 months. And even longer than that if I don't count my random fall off days, which I think there was only 6 days since last Christmas that I have smoked since I quit. So I'm just going to take this Sambar Brown and I'm going to use a firm pressure at the sides of the pencil here, and then I'm going to fade it inwards. I'm going to lightly just go over everything in the middle there. I'll do the same thing on this one. Firmer pressure on closer to that outside lines. And then fade as we get inwards. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with the beige sienna, and I'm just going to use a firm pressure just to kind of blend this into the Sambar Brown and just lighten it up just a little bit. I think that looks pretty good. It's a little bit darker than I was aiming for, but I kind of like that. So now, oh gosh, my voice. Whew. Sorry guys. Maybe I'm getting sick again, I don't know. I want to move on to one of the more dominant colors in this, which will probably be green, because there's a lot of leaves and, you know, kind of foliage stuff around here. So I think we're going to have 2 different kinds of greens, and I'm going to start with a darker one here. So I'm going to grab out dark green, and, oh, jeez. Let me just look through my color chart book here. Okay, I think I'm going to kind of go with this one. So, but instead of peacock green, I'm going to grab dark green. I'm going to grab grass green. And maybe let's go for a little bit more of a yellowish tint to it. So let's grab apple green. And if you don't have apple green, your next best bet would be spring green. Maybe let's put some lime peel in there. I hardly ever use lime peel. Okay, so this might make an interesting combination. There's lots of pencils in my set that I haven't quite sharpened to a point yet, since I've actually started sharpening my pencils. Okay. Let's make sure we're in camera here. So I think for this color, since it's more of a yellowish color, I'm going to start off with these little leaf things here. So I'm going to start off with my dark green, and I'm basically just going to color firm at the bases of these little leaves. I don't know what to call them. It's like grass. We'll call them leaves. And we'll just slowly fade up. If you're not sure and you want to be able to fit all 4 colors in, your best bet would be to start with light layers from the lightest color, working your way back so you can see where those colors are going to go. So for example, let's move on to this one here. So I'm just going to color this whole thing in with the lime peel. And then I'm going to start right about here maybe. And just slightly color in with the apple green. I'll go in with the grass green, start about here I think. And then the dark green I'd probably go about here. So there you can kind of map out your colors so you know where they are. So from there, I would go in with my dark green and I would start kind of adding a bunch of layers and fading it upwards. I'm using a fairly firm pressure, gradually fading the pressure as we go up. And then I'd switch to my grass green, blend it into that dark green, and bring it up, fading it out where I did before. Next is the apple green, and it's just the same thing. We're going to be blending those colors into each other, bringing it up and fading it out, and then finishing off with the lime peel. And with this, I'd actually probably just go over the whole little leaf with the lime peel just to kind of give all those colors just a slightly yellowish tint so it all just kind of goes well with each other. And if that's how you want to do it, and you can go ahead, the more you do that, the more you can kind of visualize where your layers are going to be, and then you could start doing this where you can just start off with your darkest color and you know where your layers are going to be. Because right now I can envision that I'm using 4 colors, so I kind of want to split this leaf into 4ths. So from here to here would be my lightest, second darkest, and darkest. So I can just kind of visualize that in my mind, and part of that is just practice. So you just kind of want to get to that point. So I'm going to go in with the grass green next. Fade it up. Apple green. And then lime peel. See, and then you can still tell that they're very similar, but I'd actually have to say that this one behind, the blend on this one is a little bit more seamless because it's got all those colors in the base. Even though you can't really see them, they're still there. So for the rest of this, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to do it that way. So I'm just going to just very lightly put in some lime peel on all of these leaves. And, you know, let's do the vine in these colors too. Maybe these leaves here. I didn't look at an image before starting recording this, so I'm not really sure what is what, so I'm just going to kind of wing it. Just make sure I'm in frame for all of this. So I'm kind of noticing that there's a few different shapes of leaves. So there's these really long ones, and then you get more of these, I don't know, more of these rounder shaped leaves. And, you know, I kind of feel like they're all coming off the same vine. So you could do them all the exact same, or what I will probably do is, I'll probably just use the same colors, but just a little bit differently, just to kind of make them look a little bit more unique. Like for these, I might drop the lime peel. I'd probably just finish these off with these, what are we using, the apple green. Just to kind of make them look similar, but different at the same time. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to color all of these, all the leaves that I can see. I'm just going to lightly color them in with the chartreuse, or the lime peel. See, and there's this kind of line right here. Not really sure what that's supposed to be. I'm just going to guess that it's part of the vine, so I'm just going to color that in. And this little line here, I'm going to assume that that's a leaf, so I'm going to color that in as well. Okay. So I think for the most part that's all the leaves there, but we won't forget about these little leaves on this side too. Color that in as a leaf. Leaf or grass, whatever they are. Okay. So next, let's go in with our apple green, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to very lightly come in on all these long ones. You just kind of fade them up as you get to the tips where you want it to be that lime peel color. And I'm only going to do this for the long ones. Okay, so for these rounder leaves, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to color them all in again, just very lightly. Same with the vines. Just going to lightly go over those too. Some of these little tiny leaves that belong to like flowers and stuff will probably be just with the two darker colors, just to kind of make them different but similar as well. And then the only other green that we're going to be using for any of the foliage is just these bushes. And I'm thinking we're going to do a lighter, more bluish green for those, I think. Okay, so next we're going to go in with the grass green, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Just kind of fade slightly upward. If you're not really sure where this grass green is going to fade off, I would recommend just fading it off slightly lower than where you would guess. All these little tiny ones here, I'm just going to fully color in. These ones here, I'm going to try and fade them off a little bit though. They probably won't have the lime peel in them, but they will have the apple green. these rounder leaves. I'm going to come in around the bottom. I'm still going to fade them out towards the tips of them. I'm going to completely color in the vines because I think those are going to be just the last two colors, and maybe just a hint of apple green on these too. Geez, 25 minutes into this already. All these little tiny leaves that are connected to flowers, I'm just going to fully color those in too. Just light pressure still, constantly using light pressure here. Okay, so finally we're going to be going in with the dark green. So I'm going to start at the top here. I'm going to just put a little bit of dark green near the base of this leaf and fade it upwards. Any underside of this vine, so for example, right along here, and then the underside switches to here. Basically any of the sides that are facing downwards. Not the top of them, but the bottom, if that makes sense. Just going to lightly but firmly. Oh, and I should not be coloring with that paper underneath. I always forget that. There we go. So I'm going to just firmly kind of outline the bottom line, but still leave some space at the top. And every single leaf will have this darkest color in it. Some more than others, some a little less. Basically just doing the base, and then for a leaf like this, I'm going to go around this other leaf here, just to kind of create some shadow to show that this leaf is in front, and then I'm just going to fade that out. But I'm still going to put just a tiny little bit of the dark green at the bottom of this leaf as well. So for this part of the vine, I'm going to start on this side, and I'm going to just bring it down to about this flower, and then I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch to the bottom here. And I'm going to color in here where it kind of goes behind this piece of bush. And I'm going to keep coloring in the bases of these leaves. Firm pressure and then fade it out. And do the whole bottom side of this vine here. And looking at it here, this piece here is probably actually part of the vine too, so I'm just going to do just the bottom part of that as well. And since the darker points of our longer leaves are here, just make sure you guys can see here. Okay, I think you can. It's a little bit, I wish I had a screen that displayed what my phone is recording in front of me, because it's kind of hard to kind of peek up and see. So since the darker areas of these long pieces of grass or leaf or whatever is on this side of the vine, I'm going to put in the darker shadow on the other side of the vine. And that's just going to kind of create some contrast between the ends of these leaves and the vine that they're coming off of. So this leaf behind here, everywhere that it comes in from behind something else, it's going to be darker. Start coming up to these little pieces here, and I'm just, on these smaller ones, I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of the dark green kind of coming up. Okay, so for this part of the vine, I'm going to start kind of shading in this side, and then when I get down to right about here, I'm going to switch to this side. So, this part of the vine here, I think for the most part, we're going to shadow the bottom of it. So about here, and then we're going to switch because there's a new bottom to it when it twists. And then maybe the inside of it up here will be shadowed. And then just tiny little bits of dark green on the bases of these leaves. Try and get some on the bases of these as well. Just the very bottom of these ones, I'm going to try and fit 3 colors in there, I think. So we're done with the dark green. Let's move on with the grass green. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to blend into that dark green and then fade it upwards. And see, we're already at, that was at least 31 minutes and my phone stopped and restarted, so I think we're going to divide this into 2 parts. So we'll probably do all of down here in the first part, and then we'll work on, I don't know, maybe the wording, the butterfly, and the clouds, as well as her skin in the second part. And the last part will just be background, and then we'll just do final touches, I think. So I think that should work. I'll probably release this on the 5th, and then I'll have another one for the 12th and 19th, and then the 26th will be finished. And that's right in time to start our Christmas color along, which I'm super excited for. I can't wait to see which one gets chosen. So for these vines, I'm pretty much just going to finish coloring them in the thinner parts with the grass green. for those of you, oh, let's switch, hold that thought, let's switch to the dark green. I'm going to put in some dark green just here, kind of fade it upwards. And then I'm going to take the grass green, I'm going to finish that part off too. Okay, so for those of you that color heavy-handed, if you're wanting to go lighter and you just find that you can't, I've said this in a few videos, but I think it's worth re-mentioning as many times as needed. If you hold your hand farther on the barrel of the pencil, you don't have as much, like you can still put pressure, but it's going to be a lot harder to put as much pressure as you could if you're right on the tip of the pencil. So if you want to color lightly but you're heavy-handed, I would recommend putting your fingers at least halfway on the barrel of the pencil. But since we're wanting to go firmer, I would put your fingers a little bit closer. Yeah, I was never really heavy-handed coloring, but I still do that, especially if I want like super light layers. I just find that it's easier to control a lighter layer going like this, and then you don't get those marks that some look harder and then some are lighter. I don't know if that's really hard to explain, but I find that if I'm shading large areas, I always get darker marks, just randomly while I'm coloring. A lot of it will be lighter and then there'll just be a couple dark marks. So, excuse me, for these tiny little leaves that are coming off the vine, I'm going to blend in the grass green, but I'm going to try and leave just the tips of them for putting on, or for putting some of that apple green. These little ones here that are in the bush, I'm just going to completely color those in. We're done with those. I'm going to keep just coloring in this vine. I want the vine to be fairly dark. Other than that, this is pretty repetitive, but I think it's definitely taking shape. I'll have to write this combination in my combo book. And that's usually, oh excuse me, that's usually how I come up with different color combinations, is I'll be looking for certain colors and just kind of come up with something, or I will mix and match pre-existing color combinations to come up with something similar but new. Again, with these smaller leaves, we're saving the very tips of them. Okay, these little bits of grass here, I'm just going to finish coloring those in. These ones here, I'm going to try and save the tips of those if I can. And same with these ones here, just a tiny little bit of the grass green. Okay, so we're officially done with that, and we're going to move on to the apple green. So these smaller ones, I'm just going to finish off with the apple green. Ones where we might be able to fit another color in, like this one. I'm going to try and save the very tip of that for the lime peel. Just going to color in that one. Try and save the tip of this one. And save the tips on this one and this one. Actually, let's just color this one in. Just give it a little bit of variation. These little tiny ones here, I'm just going to completely finish them off. Sounds bad, like I'm killing them. Okay. These ones as well, I'm just going to completely color these larger leaves in with the apple green. Since they're not coming off of the vine, I want them to look a little different. This one here, I'm going to try and save the tip of that. I'm going to color this one completely in. Let's see, where am I here? Okay, you guys can see. It's very hard for me to see what you guys can see. So I'm getting pencil dust everywhere because of the pressure I'm using. That's one thing that kind of sucks about Prismas. So I'm just trying to kind of erase some of this. And part of that is because I'm using my hand to brush off the pencil. I should never do that. I should always use something soft. Okay, so let's move up here. I'm going to completely color in this little tiny one here, but the rest of these longer leaves I'm going to try and save some for the lime peel. This little one here, I'm just going to color that in. Save the tips on that one. I'm just going to color this one in. Save the tip on this one as well. And all of these long ones. I'm going to save the tip on this little one, but this one I'm going to color in. I'm going to save the tip on this leaf as well. And then these ones, I think we'll just color these ones in. And same with these ones here, we'll just finish coloring them in as well. And then we'll switch to our last color, which is the lime peel, and just color in the tips of any of the leaves that we left. Okay, and that's all those little leaves colored. My pencil pile is piling up here. Okay. So now let's figure out something for our green in the bushes here, and I think I want this to be a really light green. Almost, kiddo. What do you need?
I'm hungry.
Oh, now you're hungry. I don't know what time it is, but it's almost lunchtime. You can wait till then, okay?
Oh, I'm really friendly to me.
Okay. After this next video clip is done, I'll put Nino Penny on.
Oh,
Yes, he's very cute. Oh, let him sleep.
cute, mommy.
I know, he's adorable, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, you let him sleep.
Baby, see.
No, okay, give him one kiss and go. Don't bug him too much. Okay, he's talking about the cat. The cat's just curled up in my other chair in my art room, just sleeping away. So I kind of want a bluey green like this, but I think I'd like it to be even lighter. So my two light colors, I definitely want the light green. So I'm going to grab that out, and I think we're going to mix that with the pale sage and have the pale sage as our lightest green. Yep. And let's see here. So maybe let's just use parrot green as our darkest then. Or what about, is peacock green too dark? Let's use parrot green and peacock green. So it's basically this combination. It's like the peacock green with the parrot green. We skip the true green and go to the light green, and then we just added in some pale sage. So we're not going to do as much layering with these, or with this bush. So what I'm going to do is we're going to find all of our shadows. So let's start on this side. In behind here, okay, you can see that. So where this bush is coming up from behind this leaf, all along those lines, I'm going to darken it up a little bit. And I'm not going to worry about these little spots. I'm just going to color over top of them. I'm thinking what we'll do, because I'm thinking for the flowers, we're either going to do, I think we're going to do pink flowers. Or maybe either pink or light purple, I'm not sure which yet. And the dots will be either the same color as the flowers or the opposite color of the flowers. So if we do purple flowers, we might do pink dots and vice versa. Just kind of play around in my head with that a little bit. So, okay, some other ones here. Okay, so there's some bush behind here, but it looks like there's another bush in front of it. So all along these lines here, I'm going to darken those up. I'm just going to fade it upwards. And same within here. Just at the very bottom, I'm not going to go in up against the leaves, but I will kind of outline this flower and this leaf here. Kind of fade those out, as well as underneath this flower. Oh, and I didn't finish coloring in this one. So let's, I'm just gonna grab, oh, that's not the right color. That's not either. I'm gonna grab apple green and just color in that part. So there we go. And I have a feeling that this would have actually been part of the mushroom, but I'm just going to go in and I'm going to just fully color that in with the peacock green. Okay, so other than that, what I'm going to do is just along the bottom here, these bushes, I'm going to come around on these vines and just kind of outline the vines on this side, and that's going to be our shadow here. This part I am going to wrap around this little bush here, I'm going to do the bottom of this bush as well. Here, I'm going to go on both sides. And I'm going to completely fill in this part here. You guys see that? Yeah. Okay. What's your deal, dude? Oh, you gotta watch where you're walking, kiddo. Make it better. I can't reach. I know. Hey. Go on, go play. Okay. Back to the coloring. So I'm going to do the same here on the other side of this super thin border line. Just going to color all of this darker and just kind of slightly fade it up. What you doing, kitty kitty? Someone's finally awake. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing right along here. Color in all the bottoms of these bushes. I'm going to bring it up a little bit here and in between these leaves here. I'm just going to pretend that the bush kind of comes in from out behind there. Okay, and I think I'm liking that. So another thing that I'm going to do, just to kind of create a little bit more depth with these bushes, is just under each of these little flowers, I'm just going to put a little bit of a shadow. I'm not really going to, I'm going to slightly fade it out, but not like I did for down here. It's going to be a pretty harsh shadow. Let's see here. If I put the book there, you can pretty much see everything. Perfect. Okay, so I don't have to move it around. Okay. So that's it with the peacock green. Let's move on to the parrot green. And I'm going to move back over to here. And I'm just going to... I don't want too much of this color. I'm just going to slightly fade it into the peacock green and fade it out. On small spaces like this, I'm going to pretty much just completely go over the peacock green. Just to kind of put in a little bit of this color, but I don't want too much. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit in the bigger areas. Probably go to like right above this flower here. And bring it up to here. And then just above this leaf, I think. And I'm going to assume that this is bush behind here too, so I'm just going to just put in a tiny bit there. Just going to go over the peacock green here. I'm not going to bring this color up any. Same with here and here. Down here though, I'm just going to completely color the rest of this in with the parrot green. For the most part, I'm just going to go over the peacock green, except in areas that kind of come up a little bit higher. I am going to bring this up just slightly. kind of follow the shape of the bushes. Okay, so now we're done with the peacock green, or the parrot green. I'm going to switch to the light green. And what I'm going to try to do with this is I'm going to try to leave a very thin line at the top of all of these bushes, because I want the pale sage to be the highlight, but I want it to be a very dramatic highlight. So I'm just going to color in, mix in with that parrot green, but I'm going to leave just the slightest of light lines at the tops of these bushes. Some can be a little bit thicker if it's bigger areas, but for the most part it's going to be very fine, which is going to create a very dramatic look. I'm going to just color in completely underneath this flower here though. I completely color in this little area with the parrot green though. And actually, I'm going to come back over everything here. All of these darker areas, I'm going to go over all of the dark areas with this lighter green. Just to kind of blend them together and lighten them up at the same time. What do we have for time here? Alright, we're almost at an hour. It's good, we got a little bit left to do. So now that I've been going over all those darker colors, I'm going to have to clean my pencil off because I don't want to mix those darker colors in where I want it to stay light. So I'm just going to do the same thing here. I'm going to leave everywhere where the tops of the bushes are exposed and you can see them. I'm going to try to leave a little bit of space for the pale sage. Then once I've got that, I'm going to go in and I'm going to start blending in the darker areas again. Okay, now we're done with that pencil. So while we're on this side, let's just start here with our pale sage. Carbon, you be nice to that kitty. And I'm just going to put the pale sage in at the tops. I'm going to blend it in a little bit, not too much. we go. Okay. So I'm still not really sure about these little flowers, but so I feel like either pink or purple would look really good for them. Let's move to this little thing here. I'm going to use the same colors as the bushes. I'm going to use the lightest colors. So I'm going to go in with the light green, and I'm just going to kind of put that at the base, and then I'm just going to go in and blend it together with the pale sage there. Okay. So I'm really not sure what color I want to do those flowers. Okay, what we're going to do, so we're going to do the little flowers pink, and then, so we'll do these flowers purple, maybe do this flower a mixture of the both, or whatever colors we use for this mushroom, we'll probably use the same for this flower, which, the colors I think we'll use, oh, did I even write that down? I did too. Okay, so the colors I think we'll use for that, so we'll use processed red, pink salmon, pink, and deco yellow for those. And those are similar colors that were in Victoria's dress, if you saw that, which is not as many. And let's start off with that, and then we'll figure out the rest of our colors. So, let's start off with that mushroom. So I'm going to grab out processed red. Is that, oh no, that's mulberry. Okay. Processed red, pink, salmon pink, and deco yellow. Oh, where is my deco yellow? There it is. Okay. So those are the colors that we use for this little mushroom and this flower here. Actually, let's make this really interesting. I was originally going to do the water here blue to kind of match. We must have hit 31 minutes again. So as I was saying, I was going to do the water here blue to kind of match her dress, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to leave her dress as possibly the only blue. We might put a little bit of blue in the butterfly at the top and maybe blue splatters of paint. For the most part, her dress is going to be the main aspect of blue, and I think we're actually going to use these colors for the water as well. So let's just start off with this flower here first. I'm going to start off with the processed red, and I'm going to put that in at the base of all these petals, and then just kind of fade it out. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm using a firm pressure, but I probably could go over this another couple times as well, so I'm not completely burnishing the page. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put little squiggles of this color in on these little weird pieces here. I don't know what to call them. Okay. I'm going to switch to the pink. I'm going to mix it in with the processed red, just slightly fade it out. Still not completely burnishing the page. I'm going to go back in with the processed red, and I'm going to redefine the base of these flowers. So it kind of gets lost in the pink there. Now there I'm really pushing down, so that's the base of these little petals are going to be completely burnished. Next I'm going to switch to the salmon pink. it all the way down to the processed red. I'm going to kind of cover up that pink a little bit there. Still not pushing too hard, just going to go back in with our pink. You know what, let's completely color in these petals. The salmon, we're not going to put yellow at the tips of these. Okay, we're going to go back in with our pink, just kind of blend in between those two colors. Okay, we are going to take the Deco Yellow. I'm just going to color in all these little circles here. Kind of looks a little bad, but we're going to go back in with black and just put some dots in there later on. And then I'm just going to color in these little triangle pieces yellow as well. Okay, and that's it for that flower. So now let's move to this little mushroom guy here. I'm going to sharpen my pencil a little bit and grab a sip of tea. Alright, so we're going to put our shadows on the same side as this mushroom. So I'm going to start in with the processed red here. Very thin line. And I'm going to completely color in these circles too. I'm going to go back over them with a white, I think. And I'm just going to keep slightly layering this. Remember that we're going to have to try and fit 4 colors in here, so you got to be careful. So next I'm going to go in with the pink. And just very slightly fade it into that processed red. Fade it out. I'm going to switch to our salmon pink. Same thing, just barely blend it into that pink. Fade it out. And then lastly our Deco Yellow, and we're going to blend into everything. There. I'm just going to go back in with the processed red just to kind of really define that shadow a little bit more. Okay, so now for the water. I'm not really sure if I've done rippled water like this before. Did I with... Okay, so kind of did with this one. So... what we'll do, let's see here. Okay, I don't know quite how to do this, so let's see. I'm going to start by putting the processed red in at the bottom corner here. I think I'm going to fade it out as I get to the... Okay, let's start with our lightest. Sorry guys, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me. I want this water to look awesome. So, doing it in this color is actually, I think our butterfly will probably also be these colors as well, since it's actually the butterfly that's dripping into the water. But we'll still do that next time. So, okay, I'm going to start off very, very lightly with my Deco Yellow. Just to kind of figure out where I want my highlights to be. So I want them to be around this area here, and then of course in some of these circle spots as well as the top of this. Okay. So, let me just reference back to this picture here and see.
Hi.
What you doing?
Uh-huh.
Almost done.
What do you want me?
Almost, baby. I got a few more things. Maybe 20 minutes. We'll see.
Well, I'll be ready to show
Yes, as soon as I'm done, you can. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm just kind of going to go around the bottoms of these little ringlet lines here. I'm going to curve this shadow up a little bit and then fade it out. Okay. So now I'm going to switch to the pink, and I'm just kind of going to go over these areas. I want to leave a little bit of room for salmon pink in between these colors right there. Okay, and then we'll go in with the salmon pink. I'm still not completely burnishing the page. You can kind of tell that there's... Yeah, let me zoom in on this part for you guys. You can kind of tell that there's a little bit of white still left on the page. I'm still kind of trying to figure out where these colors are going to go. So all along where the yellow is, we're going to have salmon pink kind of fading into that. I'm going to kind of burnish down here with the salmon pink, I think. It reminds me of Cat in the Hat. Pink, I think. Okay. I'm liking that. Anywhere we're fading into yellow, it's going to be salmon pink. It's going to be there, it's going to be up here. Here. Maybe little bits in there as well. Okay. Let's switch to our Deco Yellow. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to burnish and fade out the yellow areas. Okay, so I'm liking how that's working out. I'm gonna darken up around here just slightly. Just on any other side of where that yellow is, just to kind of really make it pop. And I'm gonna go back in with the pink and kind of soften it up. I'm pushing fairly firm now for the most part and see where my colors are going to be. switch to salmon pink, and I'm going to finish burnishing all of the pink areas with that. Just slowly, very vaguely fading it into the yellow. I'm going to go back to my processed red. I'm going to put a little bit of red in the middle here and here. And I'm going to blend that out with the salmon pink. Let's switch back to our Deco Yellow. Just anywhere that has white spots or that you feel needs to be lightened up a little bit, and go in and blend with the yellow. Okay, I actually really love how that turned out, and I think once we add some white lines in the final touches, it's really going to make that water pop. Okay, so we have quite the number of pencils in this part. So let's move to these little flowers here. So this is the farthest one, so make sure you can see that. Okay, this is the farthest one here. And you can't quite see it, but that's okay. Okay, so I want to use the same color that we used for her tights for the pink flowers. So let me just see if I can find her page here. There we go. Okay, so we used pink, hot pink, and Deco Peach. So these flowers are pretty tiny, so I'm going to just use hot pink and Deco Peach. I think I'm going to keep them really light. There's hot pink. There's Deco Peach. Actually, is it Deco Peach or Deco? There's Deco Peach. Okay. So let's start on this side. All these little tiny flowers are going to be pink. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to make an outline around the centers of them, and I'm just going to fade it out towards the edges. Then we're going to go in with the Deco Peach. And we're just going to finish coloring off the outer edges. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my Deco Yellow, and I'm just going to pop that in the center of these little flowers. Okay. So now that that's done, we just have these two purple, I want to say geraniums, that's what they remind me of, but I'm not sure if I'm right on that. So I want this to be a super pale purple, so I'm going to grab out Grade Lavender. And Parma Violet. Let's grab a little bit of lavender and some white, which I'm going to have to clean off because mine's got blue on it. It's a good thing to always get into checking the tips of your lighter pencils, because I don't clean mine off before I put mine away, and I'm sure most of you don't either. And I can't count how many times I went and just used a pencil and then gotten some other kind of color on it, on my page, which is always very annoying. Okay, so we've got Grade Lavender, Parma Violet, and Lavender. So I want to pair up the Parma Violet with the Grade Lavender. And then I'm going to pair up the lavender with the white. So what I'm going to do first is sharpen my lavender because it's tiny. We are recording, right? Okay, good. I'd be very sad if we weren't. Okay. I got a super sharp point on my lavender and on my Grade Lavender, and I'm going to put a super sharp point on my Parma Violet too. The white, it doesn't need a super sharp point, but I'm going to anyways. These are super tiny flowers that we're working with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with my Parma Violet. And I'm just going to pick a random spot. So I'm going to say this little spot here. So I'm just going to color in the bottom lines with the Parma Violet. I'm going to skip one, so I'm going to move up to here. I'm going to do the same thing. Kind of fade it up to halfways. Skip one, same thing. And same with this other one here. Let's start off maybe here. Skip one. That one's a little bit more messy, but that's okay. So I'm going to take the Grade Lavender next, and I'm just going to blend it into that Parma Violet. I'm going to go back in with the Parma Violet and just put it on the very edges just to darken them up a little bit. Okay, next I'm going to switch to my lavender, and I'm going to do the exact same thing except on the ones that we haven't colored yet. What, Carol?
Hurry, we hat on.
Okay, come here.
We need a pirate hat.
Okay, you can wear your pirate hat. He was a pirate for Halloween, and he's been wearing his costume ever since. So I couldn't even imagine trying to color these in with dull pencils like I used to before. I can't even count how many people ask me, how do you use your pencils like that? I don't know, I just did. Same thing, I'm going to go back in with the lavender, and I'm just going to kind of darken up the outsides. Very cute. Go play, little pirate. Okay. Perfect, I'm happy with those. So now all we have left is the ground and the rest of the paintbrushes and pencils. So paintbrushes can pretty much be any color. We do have a little crayon here, so let's make that blue like her dress. So let's grab peacock blue and light aqua. Hold on, let me grab those. Peacock blue. Let's need those. Okay. Peacock blue, light aqua, and powder blue. Okay. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my peacock blue and I'm going to put it at the very top here and the very bottom here. I'm going to take my light aqua, put it right here, and yeah, let's just put it right there too. It's going to be a messy crayon, and then I'm just going to take the powder blue and put it at the very top. Kind of blend it all. There we go. Very messy crayon. Okay. Okay, so next I'm going to take 70% cool gray just for the tips of these pencils. I'm just going to color them right in. So for these, oh sorry you guys couldn't see that. I forgot I'm pretty zoomed in. Okay. I really don't know what to do for these paintbrushes. Well, let's use, this is a big paintbrush that I use. But I didn't really want them to be yellow because of the flowers. Or sorry, the other pencils. You know, I think we're just going to leave those paintbrushes and we'll do it with the rest of this stuff here. And I'm going to have a think on that. So we're going to finish this off with doing the sand. And let's look in my color combination book to see if I can find a good sand color here. Now I want something a little more brown, just so we can kind of keep this yellowish looking. So let's grab our goldenrod, if I can find it in this mess of pencils here. Okay, goldenrod and burnt ochre. And let's grab some sand. Can't have sand without sand, right? I don't even know where that pencil is. Where is that located? Okay. It's in the yellows. Ah, right there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with my burnt ochre, and I'm going to put it all along behind these bushes here. Except when we get closer, I'm going to leave it about there. I'm going to fade out. And then I'm just going to fade it outwards just a little bit more up here. I'm going to come in behind this hill. And just like that. And then I'm going to switch to the goldenrod and just going to very lightly kind of blend into that burnt ochre. I'm not sure if I want to add more burnt ochre or not, so I'm leaving my options open right now. But I do want to leave a line here for the sand, and then also have the sand on the shoreline. So I think I am just gonna, that's what it'll, yeah, let's just blend completely into the burnt ochre with the goldenrod. We'll just completely burnish these darker areas. Okay, and then we'll switch to the sand. And I'll blend that in there too. I'm going to try to kind of go over the dark areas with this as well, just to lighten it up just slightly. Oh, and there's the end of the leaf, two ends of the leaves I forgot. So it's always nice to mark down your colors, because then if you end up missing a piece, you don't have to guess on color or try to color match. You just can go in with that exact color. Okay, so there's our sand. And I don't really think it took too much away from our water. I think what we'll end up doing is we'll end up putting some white here anyways. So I think it'll look okay, and I need, let's see, for both of those that would get apple green there. So I'm going to go back in with my apple green and just do those. And I think that's everything colored. So here's what she's looking like so far now. I think she's really coming along. There's definitely a lot of colors going on, but I think they all kind of complement each other. It's not too much to look at. So I'm thinking actually maybe this big paintbrush is probably going to be the same purple as here. And we'll see about that one. But I'm not going to do them this time. We'll do them in the next video. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys are enjoying this color along so far. And if you're following along, I would love to see your images. So either share them on Instagram or on Facebook. You could tag me in them. And especially if you're in the Lynn group, I'll probably see them anyways. So other than that, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.